Hey, what's going on? Severe Weather 2. I'm Paul, and I'm going to be going over some weather issues that has been going on. I've been watching some videos on YouTube. A lot of people, it seems like, are worried about the weather days that are coming up, especially in the southeast, with the landfall of the hurricane that's going to be happening, and that's going to be on day 4. So Sunday is when it's expected to make landfall. I'm going to go over that as well, and we're going to look at some NAM and other model data to figure out the convection systems going through the country as of recently. Just looking at the data and trying to anticipate a little bit of what is expected, especially across the southeast. This is day 1. And it is currently Thursday, the 26th. Right now, this is the convection outlook for today. So I'm going to go over what's going on for today, and then we're going to look at some model data and take a look at the hurricane as well, and go through that. All right, so this is the categorical look from the National Weather Service as of today. You can see that enhanced risk and the slight risk around it. Right there around Iowa and Minnesota, and it looks like Michigan or Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, Minnesota, Wisconsin. There's Michigan right there. Okay, I'm getting my states mixed up. A little bit of that corner there of Illinois as well. And then you guys are, of course, in that marginal risk as well. So I'm going to go mouse over here to the tornado risk. This is where you're getting that 2% risk of some possible convection supportive of tornado genesis in these areas. High winds, that's where you're going to get that right in there where that tornado risk is at, right in the center portion of that. You're getting that 30% moderate risk there for that higher winds, and then hail, of course, in these areas too. So that means that if there is any tornadoes to appear in this area, there could or could not be some hail associated with that. So you're just going to have to consider that when you're assessing the risk of tornadoes possibly forming up in that area. Sometimes this hail can be, kind of sizable at times and can do some serious damage and bodily injury. So we don't want to deal with that, right? Okay. So, anyways, that's the categorical look for today. If we go to convection outlooks here, this is the convection outlook for tomorrow. So you can see it kind of clearing up again, but still got that 2% risk again tomorrow in sort of the same region as it was today. Excuse me. For the tornado risk at hand here. All right, going into day 3. And the probability is a little bit lower with this, but that tornado probability is probably going to shift in the same sort of region around this Four Corners area right here, and it's going to be kind of more slanted upwards towards the northern, maybe then right on the edge of the northern end of Wisconsin, going up into Minnesota and from Iowa. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. If I had to guess, that's just an educated guess. Day 4. Okay, so day 4, let's go over here to the hurricane. We're going to look at, this is the tropical storm force wind speed probability. So you can see that big shaded red area right there where the wind speeds are going to be a little bit higher. A lot of models are showing this thing, intensifying and into a tropical system by the time it makes landfall on day 4. And some models are saying that it's going to stay about the same. Some are going to say, they're saying that it's going to weaken a little bit. The thing is, we're still about 4 days out, so the probability is going to be a little bit low, so we don't know exactly what we're looking at right now. But this is what it looks like. The track is going to come up and make landfall around day 4 on Sunday on the coast of Louisiana. So down there in New Orleans, the coast of Louisiana right here, brace for impact because it's coming. And then it kind of makes a curve up like this. That's what the models are showing, that the track is going to kind of curve up here, kind of go through this corner right here of Mississippi. Actually, I think I can't get any big. There we go. So you can see that track there. That's the track that they're anticipating it's going to make right here. All right, here's the thing with these hurricanes. Okay, everybody's worried about with hurricanes and tornadoes being associated with them. They don't always produce tornadoes, but they can produce tornadoes, and if they do, this center line that's right here, as it makes this curve, because they always kind of curve like this once they make landfall into the country, usually the tornadoes are going to show up on the southern end of that curve or on the eastern side of that line. Okay, so if it curves up like this and it continues that way, okay, that means that south of that line, that's where your higher probability is for tornadoes, is on that side of that line. It's always most of the time going to be south of that line. Sometimes they happen north of the line, but if they do, it's going to be very, very short-lived. They're usually pretty small. In reference to that, they're not as intense, but you can at times get some intense tornadoes that are going to be on the southern or eastern side of that line as soon as it curves. And it's because of the way, with the Coriolis effect of the Earth, it's because of the way that the hurricane rotates. There's a lot of spin-ups that can come off of that eastern side of that spin-up on the hurricane there. So, all right, going back and looking at that, so that gives you a pretty good idea of what your wind speeds are looking like. Precipitation, that's to be expected. With hurricanes, we always get a whole lot of rain. You can definitely expect some flooding in Louisiana, possibly some parts of southern Mississippi, and maybe even in Alabama. Eastern Texas, I would definitely keep an eye out, as well as northern Arkansas, because that is going to be coming and curving right there. You're going to be on the northern end of that line. As far as the track is what it's established now, Arkansas, you're going to be on the northern side of that hurricane. Mississippi on the majority of the southern end. All right, so you can anticipate there might be a couple tornadoes. There may not be any at all. You know what I mean? It's usually hit or miss. So you just got to see how the models participate from here to day 4. All right, so that's what we're looking at right now as far as the convection outlooks. This is the current outlook. We're going to take a look at this as well. You can see some of those things kind of spinning up there a little bit. Just a little bit of cells here, nothing, you know what I mean? It doesn't look like anything. We'll take a look at live data as well here in a minute. But all right, so you can see the associated lows that are going to be coming here, and there's some fronts that's moving in there with that. All right, heat index, and then look at these dew points, already 73, 75, very high dew points over here. That's not going to be good for your convection because you already got these higher temperatures. See these high temperatures out here. So you're getting that heat and that lift and then that dew and that moisture that's in there, and that's going to be the breeding ground for some convection. The CAPE levels, this is surface-based CAPE, so surface troposphere instability. So you can see these high numbers of CAPE here. We're already about 8,000, or is it like, is that 8 or 5? Can't really tell. Right there, it might be 6, but 6,000 roughly joules of CAPE. So getting a lot of instability in the central portion of the country, all the way up into the northeast. I mean, look at all these numbers everywhere you look, and it's mostly because of the temperature, because it's so hot. And it's so, hot and humid going on and everything like that, that causes a lot of instability. But let's look at the other factors here. We got wind shear. This is our bulk wind shear here. Getting some significant wind shear, definitely high enough. You know what I mean? But it's far north of where we're looking for that tornado zone, that tornado risk zone. Surface vorticity. So you're getting a little bit of that surface vorticity in these areas here. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a little bit of surface vorticity going on. Doesn't necessarily mean verbatim that there's going to be a tornado, but it's supportive of tornadoes. All right, now, supercell composite. So this is the likely chance in these areas where you're going to get those supercells popping up. So you can see those deep shaded blue areas right there. Supercell composite is pretty high there. So your chances of supercell development going into Iowa, and it looks like Nebraska and South Dakota right now in these areas right here, we got some significant supportive atmosphere attributes for supercell development. So, and some supercells, develop tornadoes. Some don't. Some never do. So it's a hit or miss thing. It doesn't mean, that you're definitely going to have tornadoes, but there is a good chance. This is supportive of that. Tornado parameter. This is looking a little bit more supportive, especially right here on the border of Nebraska and South Dakota right there. That's a little bit of a higher indice of tornado parameter. So definitely this is helicity right here, EHI, and this is a little bit higher levels of EHI. It's given that storm the ability to rope some tornadoes up. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to be supportive in the atmosphere for that. And then LCL height is, yeah, see these regions here, these dark greens, 750, 750. This is where you're seeing that instability right here, 500, 750, 750. This is your pocket of instability right here. Everything else above here, everything else around, you know what I mean, is higher numbers over 1,000. These lower numbers over that are under 1,000, this is where you're getting your pockets of instability here. All right, so, and this, you know what I mean, sometimes this could look so unstable and the rest of it look immaculate, like there's not going to be any tornadoes anywhere. This doesn't really mean that there's going to be tornadoes. I mean, lifting condensation height, when you look at it, it's just the lifting condensation going up into the atmosphere, you know what I mean? So it indicates to me how low the pressure is and how low you're going to have cloud base, you know what I mean, down towards the ground. So that's what it tells me. Which is, you know what I mean, it's a good thing to look at. It's a good indicator of tornadic activity. Okay, had to get a sip of water there. Let's go over to the NAM model. All right, so right now we're looking at 18Z on the 26th. So this is the current outlook for today. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. This is complex reflectivity, composite reflectivity, I'm sorry. That we're looking at right now. All right, so let's take a look, and then I can show you some model data of what we're looking at here. So you can see these cells and these things are starting to connect and kind of build a little bit of a line here. So let's see if, yeah, there it goes. And so now they're developing a little bit of a squall line that's going on. Doesn't look that bad though. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of notching in here, but let me see. This is going into tomorrow. So let's take a look at this point right here. I'm going to look just ahead of this line. And this is on NAM. And NAM usually looks a lot worse than the HRR model. So don't let this scare you. All right, but yeah, still a little bit of a cap there, but it seems like it widens up as you go a little bit further up in the atmosphere. The wind field right here looks a little bit supportive. These are kind of lower end wind right here, but it's higher. These are higher indices of wind. This is higher winds. That's a little bit further up, above 1 kilometer. And then you're getting a little bit higher wind at the surface too. LCL and LFC is not as low as I thought it would be. With these kinds of indices, you know what I mean? So we're going to look at the HRR model after this, because I know this looks horrible, but it's, you know what I mean? We don't know. This doesn't mean that you're going to have, you know, F4s and F5s and it's going to be like Twister, you know? So don't let it scare you. Let's go to the next frame right here and do the same thing. And it looks like we're still getting a little bit of the same thing. Cap is a little bit wider. Well, you can see it kind of widen out, but it's tighter. From 1 kilometer down, it's a little bit tighter. LCL is a little bit lower. Okay, so that tells me that there's a little bit of that support for severe weather there. The wind field seems a little bit more supportive. Still a little bit of breaks of, you know, weak wind fields that are in here, but it's stable. It's not all jumbled up. You know, so that would be something to consider for severe weather here. And then this kind of breaks up a little bit as it goes into Wisconsin and starts to dissipate a little bit. Cap is real tight now. Still, yeah, you get a little bit of jumble here, a little bit of weakness in that wind field down at the bottom. All right. And then it just kind of moves on from there. All right, so let's go to the HRR model and look at the same thing. We're going to go back to the 26, 18Z. And the HRR doesn't have a whole lot of data that's going on in here, but let's see what we got. This is 26, same time that we started before. Okay, so these little buildup of little individual spotty cells right here, this is what I would be worried about, is because these are very isolated. And you're getting a little bit of that isolation that's going on with these little spot cells right here. And typically, this is the kind of stuff, these are the kind of little spotty storms that are going to produce tornadoes, is these little isolated things. All right, so this kind of, you know what I mean, is starting to build a little bit here. Let's look just ahead of that line and see what the atmosphere is doing. All right, so see here, it's a little bit lower of a tornado threat, but it is still a tornado threat. cap is wider. So this tells me a little bit more accurately, I think, what everything is doing here. So this is the cap break right here. It means the caps are a little bit wide. They're a little bit broken. So that's gonna, that's gonna make the ability for these storms to roll out. All right. So now you're seeing this weakness here in the wind field. It's kind of jumbled up and scrambled. So it's not very stable as far as we're looking right now. All right. Let's look at the next frame. Okay, when these start to show up, I'm going to pop it right there in the middle of that, ahead of the squall. Ooh, 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 come on. There you go. Marginal severe. So still a wide cap, but you're still getting this jumble up here with the wind. A lot of heat and pressure, or a lot of heat and moisture going up in the atmosphere, though. And that's common in the summertime. Everybody knows that. Now we're getting these spotty kind of cells right here. So I'm going to pop that right there in the middle. Let's take a look at that. So now we're seeing that higher end tornado threat that's here. All right, so as this looks a lot better than the NAM model showed you. I mean, the NAM model was red way up here, right? So we're looking at, you know what I mean? It says possibility of EF3, but to be honest with you, this says, maybe at EF2 max, you know what I mean? But an EF2 could still do some significant damage, but the cap is wide. Still got the heat and that moisture that's going up in the air, a little bit thinner though, and the wind field is stable. See how that nice smooth curve right there? It's a little bit of a lower wind down here because these wind barbs are a little bit lower, but it's a nice curve. It's got a good structure, so that could be supportive to spin up some tornadoes. Also, you got significant supercell development in this area. You also have some significant hail development in this area, which is why their convection risk over here is saying that. That's where you're getting that moderate risk for that wind and the hail. Well, this is what they're looking at. So you're seeing all this significant supercell and hail development, and that's where they're getting those risk zones from. All right, so, and this is looking about 21Z, going into the 21Z time frame, and then after that, okay, so now we got some deep red sections that are kind of building up in here. The omegas are kind of showing up on this a little bit. Still getting that tornado risk. Cap is still broken. A little bit more heat and moisture that's going up into the atmosphere. Lower winds, higher winds aloft. Nice structure though, supportive structure, supportive updraft. So the possibility of tornadoes in this area for the next, you know what I mean, from now to the overnight period into tomorrow, it's probably, a little bit significant. There could be some tornadoes that are in here. So yeah, significant supercell and hail. Cap is broken. Supercell is at 22.4. So yeah, definitely a severe weather night for you guys that are out here in this region. I would definitely make sure that you're paying attention to your weather radars and have your warnings on your phones. Make sure you're paying attention. Be weather aware through tonight into tomorrow. Make sure you guys are listening to your meteorologist, your local meteorologist. Have a plan in place. Get your family safe. All right. So, anyways, let's go into Sunday and see if we can take a look at a little bit of what is going on. So this doesn't go as far as Sunday, so we might have to change our model here. Let's go back to the NAM. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the beginning of Sunday, just so we can get a general idea of what it's going to look like with this hurricane coming up here. So there it is. Now you can see the hurricane that's moving up there, tropical system. And I'm sure that the weather data in this thing, oh yeah, it doesn't say much. I've never done that. I wanted to see what it would say. But anyways, okay, so let's look at the NAM model and see what's going on here with this. So you can see that big line of rain and showers and a little bit of storms that are moving with this incorporated as soon as the tropical system makes landfall. See, all these models, this NAM model, it seems like it's either not, yeah, I don't think it's picking it up on the outskirts as accurately because it's not picking up all the light stuff, but the thick stuff is in here. So some of this is saying that it's going to intensify. that's about the time right there where it's going to make landfall in Louisiana. This is 21Z hour on Sunday. All right, and then going into Monday. And that's as far as the NAM model will take us. All right, so let's go back to Sunday. I'm going to do something else here, and we'll look at some levels. All right, so Saturday, Sunday, let's look at we'll look at the surface-based cape. All right, right now. Okay, so now we're seeing that surface-based cape that's coming up here. So all the dark gray regions is a little bit lower indices for that cape. I wouldn't worry too much about those. It's a little bit higher cape, but these orange and red areas, that's where the cape is really, really unstable. Those are high levels of instability, and it's all due to the tropical system, of course. But I just wanted to see, as we continue on Sunday, how it was going to kind of formulate into the country. You can see it kind of poking in there on the eastern coast of Georgia, coming in there. And then some of that is instability is reaching up into Mississippi and Alabama. And then, okay, so then it flushes up. You can see it just kind of dumping right in there into the southeast. Oh, it's dumping a little bit slower than I was thinking it was going to. All right, so, but southern Georgia has got a little bit of that, that higher ability for cape right there, that higher indice of cape. And then you're going to have some cape that's probably going to be moving in. It seems like, but this is what I was talking about on the eastern side of that center portion, that center line of this of hurricanes and tropical systems. This is where all that really unstable cape is at. Let's look at the most unstable cape. And it looks about the same. But that's where all that instability is at, and that's why usually if it spins up tornadoes or severe weather, that's why it's on that eastern side. So all that cape is right there because it's just dragging and waving all this around. You know what I mean? In this big, huge motion. And this is that higher area right here where you're gonna get all that instability at. So and a tornado, you would call this the rear flanking downdraft side. But on a tropical system, that's where all that instability is at. You can see over here on the inflow side, it's not really that unstable except for, way over here, you're looking. But on the top of it, and then of course, right there to the east of it, that's where all that instability is at. All right, so that gives you a little bit of a look at what to expect in the next couple days. Just make sure you live in the southeast, be weather aware over these next 4 days. If you live up here in Central Plains area up here, make sure you're weather aware through tonight into tomorrow, and then as well as tomorrow, next couple days, you're kind of getting these storms ahead of the tropical system moving in, coming from the northwest. So, you just want to, be weather aware, listen to your meteorologist, get your weather radios out, have a plan in place, have your emergency supplies ready and everything, and be sure to, just pay attention and have a plan to keep your family safe. So with all that in mind, I hope you all have a safe and joyous week and weekend, and I hope everybody gets through this all right and gets through this safely. Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I will continue another weather weather update if I hear any new information or I find anything that has changed. I'll definitely let you guys know. So I appreciate you guys watching, and come back and see me again.